So yeah, I haven't kept up on posting my videos since I've gotten here to California for the 3 months. So I'll probably work on those when I get back to Canada. Right now, it's about living the dream of Celine Dion. And I think 2019 is going to be a really challenging year. And I really don't know what's going to happen. Of course, we never do. But if I can survive 2019, then I can probably survive for a long time in life. So I'm going to focus on creating something, and I am focused on that right now. It's really to help other people like me who were labeled with a mental illness, which I feel is, I'm not against that for myself because it has been helpful in terms of, having these extreme amounts of suffering come up in manageable doses. And then I take medications to sort of tone it down, because sometimes it feels like one could see the implications of every molecule vibrating since the beginning of time. And it's way too much information to process. And then not only that, but how one's life is part of that whole ripple effect or butterfly effect, and the wrongs and the rights, and trying to make the wrong right, and seeing at a certain point in perspective that everything is just right no matter what or how we've interpreted it or may be interpreted. So I feel like I could be kind of left on my own, and in so-called psychosis, I've often felt like I could end up homeless, or I feel like a homeless person, and that's so painful. I think the pain of it is seeing how one ended up homeless, like being rejected for who one is and what one has done. And certain things, I guess, are deal breakers, and then people just don't want anything to do with that person. And I feel fortunate that I haven't committed any crimes. And I've had crimes against me that I haven't said too much about, and I feel like, who am I to say or blame anyone? And sometimes there's this energy that comes in that everything feels so amazing, and it's so creative, and it shares, and it's generous, and it's learning, and it's fun and helpful, and everything in all dimensions. And then sometimes when it's withdrawn, I've seen a lot this time how when the energy is withdrawn, it makes it so it's hard to act quickly and creatively and spontaneously and helpfully, like so quickly being helpful that I don't even have time to think, oh, this person didn't do this or they did this. Like there's no observing in terms of measuring who's doing what, because one is so busy doing all that one can that it doesn't really matter what other people are doing. They're doing the best that they can too, in whatever state they're in at the time. So it brings in this sort of humility and acceptance and forgiveness and so many things, and compassion. And I really do feel that this is a friendly, compassionate universe. And I feel like this year will be the test of that. Like, I don't know if there's some kind of overall measuring device that the universe does to decide who stays in this physical manifestation and who doesn't. And I don't know. Yeah, I just feel like really, I'm sorry for the things that I've done that have wronged people or hurt people. I know there's a certain point in time in my life where I got to this place where it was very, 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 very rare where I would want to intentionally harm somebody with like even a single thought. I really am fortunate that I really do become quite happy when other people are happy. It makes me happy, and I like that about myself. So I like a lot of the qualities that I have now, and I feel like I've changed a lot. But I do feel like those qualities that aren't good, these sort of, I don't know, like nobody knows how another person experiences their internal subjectivity, but mine's often very silent. And then there's also this awareness that I feel like I was born with some kind of like evil karma inside. And I think it came from, well, maybe it's just me, or maybe it's all the different patterns that led up to me being formed in this world. I don't know what it is. And I feel like, I don't know, some things, like there's some things you can't do anything about. And then there's certain things that maybe there's a creative way to create forgiveness and also acceptance. But whatever's happened, I feel like my range of acceptance of others is quite wide. And I'm not sure how that is with others, but I can only be concerned with myself and my own capacities. And right now I'm trying to build some skills, like creating this website, this new one, and a few things, and I'm hoping to be able to help others to do the same, like me, because oftentimes we're trapped or isolated. It might be hard to go outside because of some like anxiety, as it's called, or one's just isolated and doesn't have a reason to go outside. One doesn't have many friends. Maybe one is living in a basement with the family, and the family sort of kindly trying to help, but also are so worried that it's really hard to start to build a life. I feel like once one is in a basement, sort of trapped there, it's really hard to get out, because one needs like a safe, comfortable environment where the nervous system can really relax before one can really start exploring and building one's life. It's kind of like housing first. They have that for people who are homeless, and I feel like that needs to be also true for people who have a mental health diagnosis. Like, make sure the housing is really, really right for them, because sometimes people by default end up living with their parents, but that's not right. And because a lot of times there's like relationship problems and troubles from either the diagnosis, or the diagnosis sort of brings certain things to a head and intensifies them, but those patterns were there before. And for me, I want to be able to heal those relationships, and I won't be able to do it by living in the basement there. So I do have to indeed create something. And I have already, but I don't know if that's the right thing to share. And I don't know, I'm just sort of, the thing about what I've created and talking to myself is that people might think, oh, that's what I should try. And it could fail. And most of the things that I've tried fail, like doing the hearty nutritionals thing failed. I could try again. I think what happened was there was a lot of this unresolved psychological content that came bubbling up, and I dealt with a lot of it, and I didn't really deal with much of it, but I did learn my strength. For example, being in like a psychosis and being able to work at a warehouse on night shifts for a month. So it was a crappy time, but instead of just sitting in a psych ward, I was able to make money, a couple $1,000s in a crappy state where I wouldn't, I'd just be watching Netflix probably anyway. And I did do that with the time off that I had. So I was able to be productive anyway. And then here, this time, feeling sort of almost this rapid cycling thing happen where I have like an extreme drop in energy and I feel so heavy, but being able to get up and do stuff anyway and almost let the heaviness be there, and then it eventually wears off. So instead of the heaviness turning into like this personal problem of a depression, it's just sort of molasses, really slow to get moving in the morning. But once I get in the shower, I have an insight into something, and then, you know, from there I do the next thing. And I haven't really had depression, especially since being on this program with Peter Smith. So the thing with Peter Smith's program, I haven't had depression or anything like that, but I haven't been able to fully be off the meds, whereas with the Hardy Nutritionals, I was off the meds for 5 months. So when I go back home to Canada, when I am back in an environment where I have healthcare, if something happens, I might try to be without the 50 milligrams of quetiapine I've been taking. But yeah, in terms of resolving this thing that's happened, or basically I need to be able to be free, to be creative, and have sources of income that don't require that I be in some other structure that someone else has created, like another company or anything like that, for a lot of different reasons. And so I'm in the process of doing that, and I'm hopefully going to possibly incorporate when I get back. I don't know if that's necessary. I'd like to be incorporated somehow. So I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but yeah, I'm sort of planning for different possibilities, like the possibility of getting a job. There's a possibility after being back in Canada for a while, or a month, I might come back down to California. You know, lots of different things at the same time. And sometimes this space opens up where it almost seems like all of a sudden there's so many possibilities, and one has to, ooh, this is kind of frozen now. What page am I on here? I have to go through some time to sort of see how the universe rearranges itself to see what possibilities to step into. And you know, there's this sort of possibility of the job, and then a possibility of kind of wandering off on my own. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. I think that no matter what happens, I'll be able to handle it now that I feel like I have the tools to create something to mitigate whatever it is that, you know, there's this like karma energy trying to catch up with me, and I'm managing to stay one step beyond that a little bit.